the girls, let me see your hands. Wave them at them bitches hating on you with their friends. Girl, you got it.
Everybody, my name is Jasmine. Welcome to my channel. Today, I just wanted to document my journey on becoming a registered nurse, which has been a long time coming. So I guess let's just get to it. All right. So to kind of give insight to my story and how it all began, so I would say I was working in call centers when I was like in my 20s and things like that or whatever. And I think when I got to about 24, I kept getting like fired from different call centers, and like it was one call center that I had worked for, and like I went through the whole steps. Like I ended up leaving an employer to come and work there, and it was for an insurance company, and it was for us to sell whole life insurance. And I went through the whole process of getting a insurance license. I passed the exam for the insurance license and everything like that. Got to work in the job. It was a bit of a struggle for me, not gonna lie, bit of a struggle for me with that job because you had to read a script. Like, and that was really hard for me. And it was like not just like a little script. Like it was like probably like about this thick, and you had to read it verbatim while you're on the phone with customers trying to get them to buy this whole life insurance policy. So in that process of me doing that, I was having issues like because I kept stopping and different things like that, and it was just hard for me to kind of make sales, and where it can just sound, God, I got stuff on my lips, sound very organic and like coming from a place of like it's coming out natural where I'm not making a sales pitch. So, anyways, I was having such a hard struggle with that, and I wasn't really making a lot of sales. And I think I was only there for like a couple of weeks or whatever. And they fired me because I wasn't meeting sales quota. And I was like really hurt, like really, really hurt about that. So it just kind of put me down in the dumps. And it just got me to a point of like, I need to figure out what I want to do with my life because this is not it for me. I don't want to work at call centers anymore. And I really just need to figure out what I really want to do. So I've always thought of becoming a registered nurse. I always wanted to, like, that was what I really wanted to do. And I made my mind up right then and there. Okay, what can I do to get my foot at least in the door in the medical field where it can kind of like give me some experience to see if that's something that I really, really, truly want to do is be a nurse. So what I did was I shopped around to some schools to kind of get some ideas of what could I do to get me in the door fast track way and a job very quickly into the medical field. So what I did was I went to a couple of schools, looked at some schools that did like the medical assistant thing, and one of the schools I went to was called Everest. So when I got there, and I was asking questions to the lady and just trying to get some insight as to like what what do I need to do, how much is the tuition, and then also the number one question is, what is their guaranteed job placement after I finish this program? Hold on, y'all, I'm a little thirsty. I gave me some water. My mouth is so dry. So anyways, so talked to the lady, and she wasn't really giving me no straight answers. Like she just kept giving me the response of, I think that's some hair on my shoulder. It depends. It depends. It depends. And I'm like, I don't have time for a depends situation when I'm spending my money to take this course to become a medical assistant, and you're giving me it a depends situation. So I was just like, okay, at this point, like this is probably not the best career choice for me. And then when I did deeper research into it, at that time they were like medical assistants were only making like $9 an hour. And I'm like, okay, so the school costs about $16,000 and I'm about to make about $9 an hour when I finish. Yeah, probably not the best choice for me. So then I was like, okay, what can I do outside of this? Started looking at CNA or whatever. So got into researching CNA schools, and I found one that wasn't too far from my house because at the time I didn't have a car. So I was able to catch the bus, and mind you, I'm actually in Michigan, and I was staying in Detroit at the time. So I was able to catch the Detroit bus, this is my dog or whatever. He want to be a part of this or whatever so bad. My dog Ko-Fi. But anyways, I was able to catch the bus, complete that CNA program in 2 weeks. That program was a bit much or whatever. Teacher, she was a little cray cray, but I finished, got my certification, passed my licensing exam, and was good to go. I was able to find a job instantly right after that. So that was cool. I was happy about that. So stayed a CNA. Then as soon as I got done with that, got a job. I worked midnights at the time. I started taking my prerequisites for nursing school. So I got enrolled at my community college and started taking prerequisite courses. So at that time, my living situation wasn't the greatest. Um, so I just was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna try to, balance school and work so I can become an RN. So worked midnights, did school or whatever, but my living situation, we were just kind of like bumping heads a lot. And it was just like, okay, all right, I got to figure out what's the next steps here. So started working a bunch of overtime. That kind of pushed me off of my focus as far as school, because if you're working more than you are able to study, then you're going to fail your classes. And that's exactly what happened. I started failing my classes. So I ended up just dropping out of school, working a bunch of overtime, which I feel like I shouldn't have done, but at that time I just was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get me a car, number one, and that's what I did. Saved up, got my car, got all that situated. Then forward onto that, I went ahead and started saving up so I can get my own place or whatever. Did that, got that squared away. So once I had those two things taken care of, I did kind of go back to school, but I just kind of got caught up in that overtime race of like, you start seeing those overtime checks or whatever, and you just like, oh yes, I'm making money, making money, making money. But then just starting to realize like you got to work a little too hard for this, and then as a CNA, it is a hard job. Being a certified nursing assistant, it ain't easy. Um, but it's very rewarding. I love it. I've been doing it for about 8 years now, actually 8 years next year, because I've been doing it since 2014. And it's very rewarding. I love taking care of the people that I take care of or whatever, and it's very rewarding taking care of people and just being able to actually talk to their families and building relationships with the families as well. It's very just, I love it. So I just kind of got caught up in that rat race. I was working at a lot of different long-term care facilities, some rehabs, and then I started working in assisted livings, which I kind of do like those a lot better if it is a really good assisted living where there's not, a lot of Hoyer lifts and things like that, which is the current job that I work at now. So as that time kind of sped along, I actually started working as a med tech at my job that I'm currently at now. And I was just like, you know what? It's time for me to go back to school. It is. And I got to a point where I got tired of working so much, like trying to work so much overtime. And it's just not even like, it's not equating to how much expenses are nowadays. Like with all of the inflation and just especially how much food costs or whatever, it's expensive. And it's just like, I started feeling like it don't matter how much overtime that I work, it's never going to be enough to just like live comfortably. And I just knew like, okay, I got to stop doing all this overtime and figure out what way can I go back to school. So first thing I did, paid my car off, eliminated that bill so I didn't have a car note anymore. Then that happened last year. So then I started prepping myself to take my entrance exam. So the school I had already did all of my prereqs for was Schoolcraft College. I was a bit nervous to take the TEAS exam for a good reason, because it's a very hard entrance exam. And I kind of just was like terrified to take it. So, and also I had been out of school, I think since 2021. So that's about 4 or 5 years since I've been out of school. And it was just the thing of trying to figure out how to study for it so I could pass. So, I was like, okay, I got to study for this, so let me go ahead and do it. I tried studying it for it last year, but the thing is, I started having to realize as I started trying to prepare myself to study for it, in order for me to study, I need no distractions. And that's what the problem that I kept getting last year is that, I'm taking trips. I'm going to concerts, I'm going to events with my boyfriend, and we doing all types of stuff. And I had a great time in those experiences, but I'm just like, I gotta take this serious because time is ticking and I really want to pass this exam. So as time went along, I'm like, okay, this year, February, that's when I decided like 2025 is going to be my year. So, February, I started researching more into some schools and then realized like, I don't know if I want to go to Schoolcraft because I know it's a waiting list and I know the waiting list could be up to 2 years or even more or whatever. And it's competitive. So I had really good grades as far as all my prerequisites. I had nothing, no less than a B on any of my prerequisite courses, which is great. But the thing is that I didn't want to wait 2 years. So I started looking to different schools here in Michigan. First school I came across was Dorsey. No, actually, no, scratch that. Rewind. First school I came across was this school called Arizona College. So what I did was contacted the lady that worked in admissions, went over a couple of things to just get an idea, if it was a fit for me. And the main thing is that any school is a fit for me. It doesn't have a waiting list. I just want to know how much it's going to cost. That's all I'm concerned about. Nothing more, nothing less. So that's all I wanted to know. How much is this going to cost? I kept getting a little bit of runaround with them. So I just took it upon myself to ask the lady, well, can I just talk to you guys in person? Because I just really want to know how much this is going to cost me. I know I could probably pass the entrance exam or whatever. Of course I have to study for it, but I just need to know what is the cost of the tuition. So they were kind of giving me a lot of pushback. Like they didn't want to tell me because they were trying to tell me like, you got to go through an interview process. And I'm like, well, why would I have to go through an interview process? That's kind of just doing too much. And that's a waste of my time. How much is it going to cost? I already know I want to go here. How much is it going to cost me? So they finally told me, and ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to say it's ridiculous because it is people that go there and it's people that I currently work with that go to that school. And I feel as though it's a good school or whatever, but the cost for me in my budget, I just didn't feel like it was worth it. And the main reason why I wanted to go there is because it was a BSN program. So I would have my bachelor's after completing the program. So that was the main selling point. But the cost of the tuition was just like, no, it's $112,000 if you want to know. And I was just like, I'm not willing to pay that or whatever. And I'm not willing to have so much debt that I would have to pay after completing that. And I still, I want to elevate more within the nursing um field or whatever. I don't want to just, and then it's a lot of money. That's my dog barking or whatever. Don't mind him. He thinks it's somebody outside the door. But anyway, so I knew that wasn't a fit for me. So when I found another school called Dorsey, went there, loved the school, loved the energy, everything. Tuition was right. I was like, okay, this is in my budget, and then also I have transcripts I could transfer over. So that would kind of lower the tuition costs. So they told me I would have to take the T's. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready. So I studied for the T's for about 2 weeks. First time I took it, failed or whatever. Failed it. And a lot of that had to do with how I was studying for it. And I will tell you this, studying for that exam really put my brain into working overdrive and just learning how I need to study and how I need to retain information. And I realized reading a book over and over again, word for word, that doesn't work for me. And me trying to retain information and making sure it sticks. So I realized that just wasn't for me. But I just said, okay, the areas that I was struggling with were the reading comprehension and what was it? Is reading comprehension and what's the other one? Grammar, punctuation or grammar. Those are the ones I had a real hard time with, and science too, because I wasn't really like digging deep into the science. And I'm like, dang, Jasmine, you know this stuff. Like, you're really good at science, and I love science. Like, science is just one of my A1 boom coons. I did terrible in that. And I realized like you need to find a way to get a short form of content of this where you're able to retain it, because trying to read a book front to back, front to back, front to back, it's like crisscross applesauce. I ain't retaining nothing. So I was like, all right, let me try to take this exam again. Gave myself another 2 weeks, studied Again, do I think I studied as hard the second time? Yes, but I don't think I studied long enough because guess what? I failed again. So at that point, I just was like, I didn't bomb out. I didn't get upset with myself or whatever. Because guess what? I was only 2 points away from passing the exam. I don't know why stuff to keep getting on my mouth, but I think it's because my mouth is dry. So after that, I was just like, you know what? All right. You only get 3 times to take it, mind you. So they had me talk to the lady that's over the like whole department of nursing, that program and everything, and she gave me some tips. Also sent some recommendations of tutors that's within the school. Like they really want to help you and see you succeed, and I appreciated that. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to take it again. So in the midst of this, the first time that I failed, I started reaching out to another school. Um, and while I was waiting for them to kind of like get back at me, I was just researching other schools. So one of my friends at work, she kept telling me about this school over and over and over again. And I'm like, I don't want to go there because it's the drive. Like that's the main thing is the distance of how far I have to drive to get to the school because I live in Michigan and the school is all the way in Ohio. So the school is called Hondros. So I'm like, I don't want to drive that far. I don't want to drive that far. I don't want to drive that far. But then I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen with the phone call? So I called the lady while I was waiting to hear back from Dorsey or whatever as far as the next steps to take the exam again. Talked to the lady, got a lot of information. She told me to send my transcripts over. Did that. I ain't think nothing of it. I had to send my transcripts over because I'm not a LPN or whatever. So how their program works is that either you have to be an LPN to take the program or whatever, you get direct entry in, or you have to have 32 college credits and you get direct entry into the program. And the program is 15 months. So I was like, okay, I send my transcripts, I don't know what she gonna say, but we'll see. I didn't think nothing of it. So boom, did that. And then the same day that I had failed the TEAS exam for the second time at Dorsey, that's when the lady from Arizona had called me, not Arizona, I'm sorry, from Hondros called me and told me, you got direct entry into the program. And I'm just like, get down, get down, get down. He walking on my laptop. I don't know what his deal is. Like he act like a child, my dog, acting like a child as if like I'm not here trying to record a video. And he like, I don't care about that. He done hopped on the bed and started trying to walk on top of my laptop that's sitting here. But anyways, back to what I'm talking about. So she called me, said I had direct entry into the program. I was kind of in a state of shock because I'm just like, I wasn't expecting anything because I didn't think nothing of it. So I'm like, okay, so what's the steps I got to take to get in? So she told me I had 2 options. I could either take this one exam that's called a Wonderlic exam, or I could take the HESI exam, which has 6 sections that I have to pass, and I have to pass with an overall score of 75%. So I was like, okay, well, what's the Wonderlic or whatever? She was like, well, you have 10 minutes to answer 50 questions, and you have to get 18 of them right within 10 minutes of taking 50 questions. And I'm just like, I don't even want to attempt to try to take that. But I did take a couple of practice exams, and I was just like, I don't even want to stress myself out like that. Okay. So I was like, I'll go ahead and take the HESI. And I was like, okay, this time though, I'm going to take a whole month of studying. I'm going to sit and take a whole entire month of studying for all of these sections to make sure that I pass. So I studied for a whole entire month. I'm going to tell you all the stuff I used to study because I was serious this time because I said I ain't taking this exam more than one time. So what I did was I bought a book that's called Smart Edition, and it had really good reviews on Amazon. But the main thing I did not like about that book was the science. The science was not in-depth enough because although the science portion on the HESI only had because it was broken up into two sections. So it was anatomy and physiology, that was 30 questions, and then the biology had 30 questions as well. I feel as though that book was not in depth enough with the anatomy and physiology. And I would say the biology too, because it was just very kind of like, I liked that it was short and sweet, but it was just like when I started realizing when I was taking practice exams because I also had I had Boost Pocket Prep. I used that for the HESI as well, just to kind of test myself on the knowledge. Every time I read a section, I would test myself on the knowledge by using that app to make sure that I'm able to retain the information, and also to make sure that I'm scoring well on that, because it determines like, okay, if I can score well on this, then I should score well on the actual exam. So once I started realizing, when I was taking some of those exam questions through that app, and they were asking questions that were not like, they were really in-depth questions, like especially with the anatomy and physiology, asking about different bones in the body, and different bones within the ear, and the different parts of the eye, and just the anatomy of different like arteries and veins and different things like that, just different structures. And that book didn't go over that. So I just was like, okay, I need something that's a little bit more in depth. That's when I was like, okay, well, let me go on Nurse Hub. What's the worst that I can get from that? I would say Nurse Hub was the best study tool for me to pass that HESI exam. Nurse Hub is so in depth with everything on there. They give you so many resources. I like the fact that with Nurse Hub, every time that like you read a whole chapter, but it's broken down into sections, like especially for anatomy and physiology. So each section of the human body, like the endocrine system, the skeletal system, the muscular system. So each of those sections, it'll have a practice quiz of 20 questions after that. Then when you read the whole entire section, they give you like 5 practice exams with like however many questions you would probably get on the exam, like 30 questions. So I just felt like there's no way you're going to be able to fail without using this resource. And I did well. Got 82% overall and passed the first time. So I say all of that to say that, you know, I'm 35 years old, and I started this journey to be a nurse when I was 20. I think I was 20. I don't want to say 24. I'm going to say I was in my 20s. I was probably like 26 or whatever. And like I said, I'm 35 now. You can do it if you put your mind to it, and if you are very serious about it. I'm going to school to become a registered nurse. I am very nervous because I haven't been in school in so long, and I know that since this is an accelerated program, it ain't going to be easy. And nursing is not easy, but I'm ready for the challenge. And I'm just ready to tackle it all. So I close out this video to say that you can do anything that you put your mind to, and if you take it serious enough, you can achieve it. And just thank y'all, and you have a great day. High volume. Am I really that much?